Yeah, I was shocked. Shook.
That's not the Norwegian word.
That wasn't saying in the Norwegian. What's the Norwegian word?
Sjokkert.
I was shooked.
Jeg var sjokkert.
Oh, jeg var shooked.
Okay, let's go.
Shook.
Let's go on. Let's go on.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our channel. This is Fiona,
And I'm Christopher Riggs,
and you are with The Ricks.
the Riggs. Welcome again. Hey guys. Yeah, it's been a while since we did this. We know the last video we posted was our wedding video. And for those of you that seen it, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you for all the comments. I'm sure we will be able to reply to them. And if you're watching this one, please do the same. Like, share, subscribe. Help us grow. All right.
So, one thing that is different from our previous recordings is this is our first recording we're going to be posting since I came to Norway. I've been here for 4 months, and so this is actually kind of an interesting topic. I think we're gonna talk about since my move here. And today we're gonna just be touching on Canada versus Norway and my experience and some of the things that are different. Did I have culture shock? Did I not? Like, what is it like? And so
She did.
I did. I feel like I'm still having culture shock. So yeah, I guess we can get right into it. In our previous one of our videos, we talked about how long we've lived in Norway and how long we've lived in Canada. Christopher has lived here for almost 19 years. I had lived in Canada for almost 20. And so you can imagine just picking up from everything I know and coming to a different country. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that, like, we're going to touch on topics like the cost of living in Norway, like just population, employment rate, healthcare, child benefits?
Yeah.
And just, some of those topics, and then we'll dive into my experience.
Personal experience.
Yeah. And then Christopher too will also, because he visited Canada a few times, so can also, kind of speak to that. And so, yeah. So first of all, we want to say that Canada and Norway both are monarchy countries. You have a king.
Yeah.
Canada has a queen. Well, a king now. They have a king now.
We got a king and queen.
Yeah. Canada's under England, so they're part of the Commonwealth. So they have a king
And prime minister.
and prime minister.
Yeah, and well, weirdly enough, Norway and Canada has always been kind of on competition in a way of best places to live, among the best places to live in the world, because I think because of it's generally seen as, the society, it's pretty much alike when it comes to
kind of social
yeah,
base.
yeah. So that alone makes it a bit interesting because you were under the impression that things were a lot more alike than it actually is. And few things are, but a lot of things are not. So, what are one of those things that kind of shocked you? Let's maybe start on
Well, let's
cost of
give
living.
the statistics. No, let's start with population.
Okay.
Historical population and then the land mass. Because, like, the size of Canada versus the size of Norway. Like, Canada is massive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Canada is massive. And Norway is actually not that big of a country. They're kind of long if you look on the map, but it's not that big of a country. And so we're looking on the land mass, and the land mass for Canada is 9.9 million square kilometers.
Yeah, that's just, I don't,
You're
that's
the
big.
engineer here. What's that? Like, it's
Yeah, but nobody can really like imagine that size.
fathom the,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, uh, Google Maps it, and you you see how huge Canada is compared to Norway. And Norway is what? We got 350,
85.
385,000 square kilometers. Um, that's and the population is about 5.4, I think, compared to Canada, where it's what
38 million.
38 million. I think
38 million.
I would think that Canada should be like 300 million compared to the land
For
mass
the
that it
land
has.
mass, right? Because Canada isn't
But
really that populated, especially when it comes to the size of the country.
yeah,
Yeah, like it's actually underpopulated, and like it's the mass immigration that kind of help really. But yeah, they're not really compared to, we're bigger than the states, and the states is the U.S. They're way more
way more.
populated
Yeah, 'cause,
than.
I mean, you can pretty much see it when I flew to you last year, February. I flew all the way over to Calgary, and you really get to see a whole bunch of nothing. Like it's the massive, massive land, but just a lot of nothing. So um, I guess it explains the cities are kind of the what provinces are kind of spread out in a way. Yeah. Um,
So the cost of living,
Cost of living.
cost of living.
Speak.
Cost of living. Let me tell you how expensive it is to live in Norway. It is expensive. Okay? Okay. It's expensive. The cost of living, we're just going to pretty much tell you by taxes. And what I want to mention is with Canada, their taxes are always when you like we're going to talk about the goods and service taxes. And with Canada is always the price plus the taxes. With Norway, the taxes are already calculated in what your purchases. So for Canada, the taxes actually vary by province. And so the highest province, they pay 15% total in goods and service taxes. And the lowest pays 5%. So I was in Manitoba, for me, I think our goods and service tax is like, plus our provincial sales tax
About
is
12.
like 12%. Yeah. So whatever you buy in Canada, keep in mind, whatever it is plus tax. And I think maybe they don't really add taxes to a lot of food products. When you're buying a lot of food stuff, they don't add taxes. But keep in mind, if you're going to the mall and you're going to buy something, keep in mind that there is a tax attached to the cost of that item.
Those taxes, are they relative to the earnings in those different provinces?
This is in
Shouldn't it
the
be?
employment tax.
I,
This is
I
goods
know
and service.
I know that, but I would imagine that it's you probably earn more in a province where you pay 15 what it's highest. You know, you pay 15% compared to a province where you pay 5% on these goods and
Not
services.
necessarily. So some of the provinces that you pay the highest taxes are like I think in Halifax, Nova Scotia, they're the 15%. Far East, I don't know what it is in Ontario. But however, I don't know what the minimum wage is over there. Like Canada, I mean in Manitoba, like the tax is 12%, and I think they're having a conversation about raising the minimum wage to $15, whereas in Ontario, the minimum wage is $15. So it's definitely, I think, for Ontario, somewhere between maybe Manitoba and Nova Scotia, or somewhere around that. And the lowest, the lowest is 5%. Alberta, they pay 5% taxes, but I also don't know what the minimum wage is there.
Well, without making this so complicated, it's we pay a lot more
Yeah.
here in Norway for goods and services.
Dun, 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 dun. 25%. I'm giving you the drum roll. 25% in goods and service taxes. 25%. So if you went to buy something that was 100 kronas, they're going to be charging you 125?
Yeah, that's not because that they have the way of doing the calculation, but
Because it's already calculated in there. But 25%, that is like a steep cut. Like when I came here, there was some stuff that we went to the store to buy. And when I found out what the prices were, I said, no, it's okay. We can just put that right back.
because there are some. I mean, there especially when it comes to food. Well, things in general, there are some things that would, you'll find that when you're making the comparison, it would be like, it's about the same. It's not so bad. And there
Yeah.
are some things that just are ridiculously, like,
Right.
not even 2 times more expensive.
Which
up to
kind of
maybe
is
five
which
to
kind of
6
is
times more expensive.
interesting to me, because a country that's kind of like very on a socialist side, like things are fine dining. Like if you go to a fine dining restaurant, it's probably the same as I would pay in Canada. But if you go and you want to buy like just food at the mall, or even just to fast food, it's pretty expensive. I think it's about double the cost or almost triple the cost.
At least double.
At least double, but close to triple on some of the places. So it is like, so I'm just like, it just seems to me as is creating this divide, because like the fine dining is up to par with like other parts of the world, but like for people who are not making that much money, like they're not obviously going for fine dining, but then they also can't really, like, you think twice about just taking your family out on a weekend, wife, husband, kids, taking them out, just you really think about the cost of that before you make that move. And so yeah, that's pretty steep. Yeah, I was shook.
That's not a Norwegian word.
That wasn't saying in the Norwegian. What's the Norwegian word?
Sjokkert.
I was shooked.
Jeg var sjokkert.
Oh, jeg var shooked.
Okay, let's go.
Shook.
Let's go.
Okay, so let's talk about the employment rate. Since we talk about how expensive it is, what is the employment rate for Norway?
I think it's 60-something%.
Yeah, 68%.
But again, of course, economically, it has something to do with it. But I think it's more, the cost of living should be relative to the earnings. The salary and how people earn here.
For me personally, I don't feel like they align.
Oh, I guess it depends. I think I think low-level jobs, in a way,
What do you consider a low-level job?
a cleaner, for example.
But I would consider, I wouldn't call it a low level. Like
What's-
maybe like
what's a low
entry
level?
workforce. I don't know.
The entry
But
level
I
can
don't
be
know.
at any level. It's
Okay.
low
Right,
level.
you're right. But
But a bus driver or cleaner. I think the in Norway, the the pay relative to other countries, I know other countries in Europe and maybe the US, it's relatively higher. But when it comes to professional jobs, as in the medical field, nurses, doctors,
Engineers.
engineers,
Yeah, definitely
I think,
nurses. When I found out the salary for nurses, I said, "There's no way."
yeah, I think it's very competitive to other um, I wouldn't say European countries, but the U.S. and Canada. I would say that. I was also surprised
Yeah.
to find that out. Yes, it depends in the sector and all of that, but it is the same thing again. Like in Canada, it depends if you're working in the oil and gas sector. Same thing in Norway. You probably will be earning more, a bit more, if you work in the private sector in oil and gas than
Yeah, like
other sectors. But
I think I would even go as far as saying like it seems like a lot of these jobs, some of them are kind of aligned with the what they're paying in other parts of the world. But what for me doesn't align is how expensive it is to live.
yeah,
Like not just, and so that's where that disconnect for me happens because yeah, I'm not saying Canada is cheap to live, but you can find cheaper goods. There's so much variety. Like even if you try to like if I ordered something to Norway, I have to spend equivalent $35 or less if I don't want to be slapped with a high tax on it. And so it's just everything is in the country and there's not that much variety. Like
no,
there's not competition in prices because everything is just expensive. They want you to buy local, but local is really expensive. Whereas like say somewhere like Canada, you can offset the balance. Like you can go and get some just everyday household things at the dollar store. And you can get those things there. But even some of the stores that are considered like the cheaper stores here just seem like regular prices over where in Canada to me doesn't seem like when I'm saying cheap store like I'm thinking I'm coming out with a whole bunch of stuff. Even when I go to the thrift store here, and I love thrifting, but it doesn't feel like you're thrifting when you're in Norway. Like it really does not feel like a thrift.
nah.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, to a large extent, I agree. It it did surprise me too because I was under that impression that um, you you get the buck. How do you call it? You buck for your money. Um,
a bang for your
a
buck.
bang for your buck. Um, yeah, but just a typical example like vehicles, cars. That's the one I can't even I haven't been able to reconcile with because it's just so much more expensive. We're talking about in some cases almost twice as expensive in some
Yeah.
cases.
And
Like it costs a whole lot to buy, especially fossil cars, and that's why things are shifting in Norway towards more electric cars. And you know, to the world, it seems like um, Norway is uh, giving a lot of incentives for going over. A lot of people are going over to electric cars. The fact of the matter is that people are buying electric cars at the normal price as the rest of the world are buying it, and ordinary cars you have to buy them almost twice as much. So for us here, it seems cheap to buy electric cars, and to the rest of the world, it's
it's
still expensive
expensive. Yeah.
because compared to the ordinary, the normal cost of fossil
Fossil
cars,
cars.
it's still expensive to I mean, things are leveling up now, but that's just an example
And like I would
on it.
understand it because it seems like there's this mass push towards public transportation, right? But like because even like there are a lot of places where even parking is like really scarce. when you go places like they would rather you take the train and go, but the train is expensive.
Yeah, that's the dilemma of it. That's yeah. To be fair to that, there is an explanation of why, because of the landscape is. I mean, just the road tax and all that. We're talking about cars and how much it costs, like the road tax and all of that. It's just super expensive. And you everywhere you're driving, you're driving through what is it called?
Tolls.
Yeah,
The amount of
tolls.
tolls. I was just about to
Like
say the amount of tolls
it's
that
it's a
Norway
lot,
has.
and and for us Norwegians, it's we only complain at home, and at work, and that's it. There ain't nobody gonna go out there and protest against what's, something that they have some that they got against the system. But that's an example of it that it's just ridiculously expensive. She, like you rightly mentioned, collective public transport is, yeah, they promote it. They want people to use it. But if we were, for example, go 2 hours, we live 2 hours away from Oslo, and the both of us, were going to take the train compared to taking our car and finding a parking space, like it's not worth it. We'll take the car because two persons. Maybe if I was going alone, that's a different thing. But two persons is just not. It's just that expensive. So yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah. So let's talk healthcare. What is healthcare looking like in Norway? Because that is something that I know Canada has been trying to, like, I think Canada and other countries see Norway as a competition, especially when it comes to this universal healthcare. As for countries that like offer universal healthcare, they see Norway as a competition. They see Norway as the standard. So, what is the healthcare system here?
Frankly speaking, I think it's generally for people that are relatively healthy and well. It's you don't really get a full gist of what it's about. I mean, yeah, for the longest that I've been living here, I go to the doctor and I pay a little sum of money every time I go to the doctor. The law is like if you visit a doctor so many times within a year that your doctor's bill pass, I think the equivalent of
No,
$300, the equivalent of 300 United States dollars. Then you get something called frikort, where whatever else over that $300 is, you don't have to pay for it,
Right.
and that it can include surgery, it can include whatever big stuff that you are facing.
So for a regular family doctor visit, you pay until whatever they cost. I mean, they charge for that. You pay that until you get up to the $300 annually, and then everything else after that is free.
It's free, yeah.
So for Canada, as long as you're a resident of Canada, like if you're an international student, you need to have health care. You pay for health insurance coverage. You pay for that. But if you're a resident, like a permanent resident or a citizen of Canada, your health care is free. So that includes all your doctor visits. There is no base amount you have to pay until so for instance, if you go to the doctor here, maybe 5 times a year, you would have paid less than the $300, yes? So you don't get to benefit from the free healthcare, so to speak, if you're somebody that don't get sick a lot. But like for us in Canada, every one of our visits, there's no cost to, like to see a family doctor or anything like that.
I mean, yeah, that's what it is. However, universal health care if I mean, that's why some capitalist system looks at it as not good because or they see it as unfair because it's basically the healthier are paying for the sick in a way, and but
Yeah,
that's
but
what.
for over here. But I'm saying, like, in Canada, if you go to the doctor 5 times, you're seeing a doctor 5 times for free.
Well, it's not. I mean, your taxes are paying
Right, your
for
taxes are
that,
paying
right?
for it, but yes, you're paying for the people who are sick, and over here too, yes, you're paying for the people who are regularly sick, but you're not thinking about the accident that could happen to you or your loved one or something major
No, no, I
that
get
could.
it. I get it
So
that you
in the end,
benefiting
you
more there,
benefit. You either
more that
some people
than.
benefit on a smaller scale, some people benefit on a larger scale, because like at one point or another, you will need to use to have to see a doctor or maybe go to emergency. And there was this kid. He was an international student, and his insurance had just expired, and he didn't get a chance to renew it because he had a mental health crisis. And so they took him to the hospital, and he was in the hospital for I think about a month or so, and his hospital bill came some no, I don't even think it was up to a month. I think he was there for a couple of weeks, and I think his hospital bill came up to around 80,000 or 80 something thousand. Yeah. And he just actually couldn't even renew it because he was having a mental health crisis. So, yeah, that is just unfortunate for internationals, for people who aren't residents, but yeah. So,
Right.
and then over here, I don't know what it is like in other provinces, but in Manitoba, you don't have to make an appointment with urgent care before you go into urgent care. We're going to touch on that later in another
Yeah,
video, but
because there's some
yeah.
experiences from that. Um,
Let's
child,
talk childcare.
yeah.
Childcare. If you are not working and you have a child in Norway, I found out you get, I believe it is about $9,000 equivalent US dollars. If you're unemployed and you have a child in Norway, you get that as kind of like a starter fund to like get everything you need for your child and everything like that. And then afterwards, for Norway, you get how much a month?
1,000, 1,006. That's like equivalent of
$160.
160 US dollars a month for when the child is under 6 years old, and then over 6 years old, about $100, equivalent of $100 a month. Yeah,
And this is
but
whether you're employed or not.
whether you're employed or not,
And you
yes.
get that. And what is the maternity leave, the parental leave?
Right. That is, you get. I forgot
If you're
how
working.
it's combined, but I think the combined thing is if you're working, you either choose go in for 10 months with 80% of your salary, or 12 months with
No, 10 months
no
with
10 months with 100%. My bad. 10 months with 100% and 12 months with 80% of your salary. And then it's divided between the mother and the father in some way, not
in some
50-50,
capacity.
but yeah.
Right. Right. So in Canada, the child care benefit, they call it Canada Child Benefit, CCB, you get about $583 Canadian dollars per child per month. But that is based on you not working. So you get about $600 per month per child per month under 6. And if the child is over 6, is 406 to 17 years old, the cost is 491 Canadian dollars. This is if you are not working. Now, if you are working, depending on the income bracket of your family, if you are making the family salary is anywhere between 32,000 to 71,000, and you have one child, that the monthly amount reduces by 7%. And if you have two children and you're still in that income bracket, it reduces by, I think, 13%, and so forth and so on like that. So it reduces as you're working. So it might come down to average probably about that, sorry. Could probably come down to average about 160 or 100, by the time, especially if you're working so if you're in a two-parent household working. And so, or even one-parent household and you're making that amount, yeah. And so if you are deciding to take maternity leave, in Canada, it is 1 year. You have a choice between 1 year or 18 months, which is a year and a half. Now, if you take 1 year, the estimation is about 55% of your salary. And if you take 18 months, the 1 year and a half, that averages out to 33% of your salary. So that's kind of like you're gonna be taking a hit to like stay home, but that's divided between you can share that time between or both parents. You choose how much time you want to take. So yeah, it is 55% for 1 year and 33% for a year and a half. And so yeah.
Well, there are a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay,
talk
we'll talk about
experience.
let's talk about one more thing. Let's talk about education. That is very important, especially post-secondary education. Tell us about it in Norway. Because I almost wanted to come and do a master's here because of this.
Well, there is a fee. What is it? Semester fee. Yeah, I think it's about $80.
Oh,
So that's it. Like you could become a medical doctor. However, you always teach me how to use however. So education is free. That's at least public education. However, we still
take out student
loans.
for cost of living.
That's the dilemma of it. Because very seldom can a student go to school full time and work enough to be able to cover up their cost of living. And I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but I would believe that if school was free in other countries, I'm sure people would be able to cover up their cost of living. But I mean, that's the thing. It's not. It depends on what you do or how many years you go into school for and all of that. It wouldn't be as massive as what I hear the student loans are in the U.S.
In
and
the
all of
U.S.
that.
Nobody's like it is in the U.S.
But
So you took out student loan for the cost of living while you were in school. How much did you have as a debt for your bachelor's degree?
When I got out, I think let me see, 180. Wait, yeah, 180. No, it was 220. It was about 22. The equivalent now, with the rate, is the equivalent of 22,000 US dollars ish.
Okay. And there's one thing that I almost wanted to come to Norway here for my master's years ago when Christopher and I were friends, was because international students could also go to school for free.
Yeah.
Now, if you're coming here for a bachelor's degree, you need to learn the language. You need to learn Norwegian for your bachelor's. But if you're coming for a master, there's some master programs that are offered in English. This is when I did my research long time ago.
There are still some bachelor degrees that are up, I think.
Yeah. They stipulated that
Really?
if you come in for bachelor's, they would expect you to also be learning a language as you're here. But for master's, they offer it in maybe a few courses they might offer in. Yeah. So, however, so in Canada, post-secondary education, it is not free. And in Manitoba, I guess before Manitoba, I don't know where they're at now, but Manitoba was considered one of the cheaper provinces to go to school, especially for international students. Because I have a friend who is a American citizen. He lived in, I think, New Jersey, and he came to Manitoba as an international student. And mind you, international students were paying double per course what we were paying. And so he came to Manitoba as an international student, and his fees were still less than what he would have been paying back in the States. Yeah. And so when I came out with my bachelor's degree, I came out with a student loan of about $40,000. But that's for my school and cost of living, because if you're full time, they factor in cost of living in your loan. So that's for both of them. And so apparently, so on average, in undergraduate program, a student, I think per term might pay around 6,000 per year. Per year, about $6,000 per school year on average across Canada. And for a graduate program, on average, you pay around $7,000 per year, I believe. So,
Well, all things considered, it actually comes up to around the same thing, doesn't it? 4 years.
yeah.
Oh, y'all got 4 years. We got 3. Okay. General experiences in Norway. In Norge. General experiences in Norge. Put the phone down. Speak from the
General
heart.
excuse.
General
General
excuse.
excuse. Yeah. So my overall experience of Norway, I like Norway, the scenery, like what the country actually looks like. It is very beautiful. If anybody lives in Canada, to me it gives me some places in British Columbia vibes. My friend who's visiting us from Canada says it's giving her, I think, Nova Scotia vibes. So Norway is like nestled, all the towns are nestled in mountains. The whole country is a mountainous country.
Mountains and fjords.
Mountains and fjords. And so it's very beautiful. It is cold in this city. Now I come from Winnipeg, where Winnipeg can go as low as minus 38 with wind chill. And that is freezing. And then I come to Skien, Norway, and I get minus 3, and I'm thinking, oh, I can wear my light coat and go outside. There's no wind chill. It is not the same. Manitoba is landlocked.
I like the way you just passed through that minus 38.
No, but that's
and that
our
is
extreme.
freezing. Yeah.
But that's our extreme. I'm saying like minus 3 isn't your extreme, because I've experienced minus 16 here. And I think I experienced minus 20. No, I experienced minus 16, 18. However, in my brain, where I would say, oh, minus 3, I would be outside in Winnipeg in a minus 3 with a winter coat, but a lighter one, and I'd probably just hang my scarf and my coat will be open. Like I have a lot of snaps where like I'm outside and my jacket is open in a minus 3 weather. Manitoba is landlocked. There is no ocean there. We have rivers and stuff, but there's no ocean. I don't know what it is about
I should have read up about it. Humidity, I guess some people call it, but I don't know. I personally, what you
You
said
came
it,
to Winnipeg in the
found it
most extreme weather, so
right. But also I found it hard to believe that a -5 in Norway feel as cold as -20 in Winnipeg. But
minus
I don't.
five in Sheehan felt as minus because you guys don't have wind chill. The thing is with minus 38, that's the extreme wind chill. So it's like it could be like minus 22 with wind chill feeling like minus 38. So that wind is like when we have wind chill, but when we don't have wind chill, if we have -3 with no wind chill, it is a nice weather. So that's what I was expecting when they said it was -3 and it felt like -3 outside. And I said, I don't know who's doing the temperature calculation, but this does not feel like -3. It is. I think they're using different.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
in other words, the cold is kicking up, but
It's cold. And so what else do I like about Norway? I like Oslo.
city girl.
I like Oslo. I like the diversity in Oslo. Like I like that when I'm walking around in Oslo, you see a lot of different types of people. Here in the city we live in, Skien.
Town.
It's not a city?
It's a town.
Okay, the city town we're in. It's it's very isolating. It's just like it's not my cup of tea, really. However, my family's here. My husband is here. My children are here. So I'm here. Okay.
All right.
All right.
So that was Norway versus Canada.
That was Norway versus Canada. Those are just some of the things to consider if you're thinking about living in either Norway or living in Canada. And we just, wanted to share a bit of my experience so far. Christopher has visited Canada a few times, a little bit of what he has seen and he has experienced. What do you think about the people?
Oh, for sure. Much more open and friendly.
Canadians?
Yeah. Much more open and friendly, easy to talk to. Just whip up a quick small talk with somebody. I thought that was cool. I liked the cars too, of course. I like the
Okay,
cars.
we're back on the cars thing again.
Yeah, it pisses me off. Pisses me off. Like I'm all for the electric stuff, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know Canada is considered the friendly neighbor to the north of America? They're friendly. Canadians are friendly people.
I mean, I say I like the cars because it's American cars. Like or just the accessibility to be able to get cars or buy a car for the
It's
value.
okay, baby.
Yeah,
It's okay.
That's
They're there.
yeah.
Yeah, so that is it. Comment if you have anything that you want to share about Canada. Comment if you have anything you want to share about Norway.
And if there's anything we got wrong with the data or information,
With the information.
yeah, feel
Yeah.
free to share. Yeah, and please, guys, subscribe. It's free.
Like.
Easy. Like, share, comment, and we'll see you.
Comment. We want that engagement with us.
Yeah. And we'll keep this rolling. We're going to keep this rolling. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay?
Okay.
Until next time.
Bye.